Namaste, and welcome back to Spiritual Intelligence. In this episode, I want to take you deeper into the SQ chart to give you a broader understanding of the 7 levels of spiritual intelligence, both how we quantify them and to give you a better way to understand how consciousness progresses as it becomes more and more spiritually intelligent. So please join me for our 18th episode as we explore the 7 levels of spiritual intelligence. So in order to better understand the 7 levels of SQ and the progression between each level, let's first revisit the definitions that we've laid out for spiritual intelligence itself. Now, we've basically given you 2 definitions for spiritual intelligence in this series. One of them is basically just what SQ is in its most basic context. The other definition is sort of what SQ does, or the way it shows up in our consciousness, the way that it displays itself through us. And so our working definition for this episode is the following. Spiritual intelligence is the comprehension of reality. And this is, of course, reality in the spiritual sense of the word. Reality is defined both in Hinduism and Buddhism as that which is eternal, unchanging, and self-supporting. So our ability to perceive reality metaphysically, understanding the laws of the universe, and how to live in harmony with those laws represents our level of spiritual intelligence. And so that brings us to the second definition we've used more commonly in this series, which is our capacity for self-awareness and integration. This is also a good measurement of our level of SQ. So with both of these definitions in mind, let's look at the SQ chart. This is the standard SQ chart we've been studying throughout this series. As someone expands their consciousness, they will become more spiritually intelligent as they're able to comprehend reality to higher and higher degrees. Each one of our 7 energy centers is basically just a new locus of spiritual intelligence, as each center opens our awareness to more layers of reality. So I've named these 7 levels on the right-hand side to summarize what stage of comprehension happens at each level. But what I want to do in this series is to go deeper into these definitions and quantify these 7 levels in a more tangible way so that we can have an even better idea of how this progression unfolds on the awakening journey. And that is through the framework of realizations. As Ra describes in the Law of One, consciousness progresses much like a color wheel, where each energy center shows the true color of that level of consciousness. And as we progress higher in consciousness, we slide through the color scale towards the next true color. For example, as someone leaves the empowerment level of SQ in the solar plexus chakra and begins to expand towards the awakening level of the heart chakra, they will move from yellow to dark yellow to lime green to light green and then to true color green. So we do not leapfrog from one level directly to the next, but we slide gradually from one level to the following, because consciousness is a spectrum. So each and every one of us is somewhere on this chart right now and slowly progressing higher. And we become more spiritually intelligent either the easy way or the hard way. The hard way is through not paying attention to our life lessons and attracting challenging, painful life circumstances that will force us to expand our self-awareness. The easy way is when we do pay attention to the lessons our life is teaching us and we stay devoted to our spiritual practice. But everyone is progressing higher on this chart, whether they realize it or not. So what is the best or easiest way to get an idea of where we currently are on this SQ chart? Well, what we can say is that the true color of each SQ level can be quantified in terms of the realization that happens on that level. So the highest number that's indicated over every chakra represents the highest spiritual realization available at that level of SQ. This is what most accurately shows us what our current comprehension of reality is. Now, the important part to grasp here is that a realization is not a concept or an idea, meaning it's not something that you learn about from a spiritual book or teacher, but it is your actual lived experience. It is a state of being or a quality of consciousness that you now live from. For example, you might hear me say something like, "There is no personal doer of actions." And you may conceptually understand what that means, but do you actually live from that place is the question. Meaning, have you actually lost the ability to feel like a person in time and space who's choosing all of their own actions? If you haven't, then you're not at that level of SQ yet. How you actually perceive yourself and to what degree you've realized your oneness with reality is the truest measurement of your level of SQ. So let's take another look now at the SQ chart through this lens so you can have a better idea of how this all works. The first level of spiritual intelligence is the level of insanity, correlating to the root chakra between 1 and 50. The highest possible realization available at this SQ level is I am a victim. Victim consciousness is what defines the insanity level of SQ, as one perceives reality itself as their enemy. This is where all forms of violence against others takes place, and all forms of mental insanity. The further we drop below 50 points on the SQ chart, the more negative and distorted our thoughts become. Thoughts like, I am unlovable, or I am worthless, or they are worthless. If someone's SQ drops below 25 points, it's almost inevitable that they will commit suicide, as living from this level of insanity is not sustainable for long. This level of SQ is almost exclusively focused on survival, as even the smallest disturbances are felt as a matter of life and death. One is almost completely blind to reality and lives in a world entirely of their own projections. The next SQ level is ignorance, correlating to the sacral chakra and ranging from 51 to 75. The highest available realization at this level is life is unfair. At the sacral chakra level, one is beginning to develop their personal sense of self and the will not only to survive, but to thrive. So as consciousness becomes more empowered at this level, reality is no longer seen as pure evil or one's enemy, but is simply seen as being basically unfair. The laws of karma have not yet been realized. So people within this SQ level can live a seemingly normal life by human standards, but will always be plagued with great unhappiness and suffering, as victim consciousness has still not been fully transcended yet. The next SQ level is empowerment, ranging from 76 to 100. At this level, we begin to perceive the karmic laws of the universe and understand that we can play the game of life in such a way that these laws work in our favor. So the highest realization available at a 100 SQ score is I create my reality. The person is empowered with self-responsibility now, understanding that life is not cruel or unfair, but simply a law or a principle that one must understand. And with the understanding that our mind creates reality, we can begin playing the game of life successfully. This is the realm of motivational speakers, law of attraction teachers, successful businessmen, and entrepreneurs. The next SQ level is awakening, correlating to the heart chakra and ranging from 101 to 125. At this level, we begin to realize that it is not actually the person who is creating their own reality, but that a higher power is acting through us. The realization flips upside down. We are not a person who is commanding reality to do what we want, but reality is living through the person. Like a dreamer lives through their dream character at night. We begin to perceive the universal energy in all things, awakening to reality as divine, loving, and eternal. So the highest realization of the awakening level at 125 is, I am being lived. We still feel like a person living in a world at this level, but we are now aware of the divine power that orchestrates all events and circumstances in our life. And we begin to fall in love with that divine power, and we can no longer see anything that happens as a mistake or an accident. The next SQ level is Illumination, correlating to the throat chakra and ranging from 126 to 150. This is the SQ level we classically refer to as enlightenment. This is the point where suffering comes to an end, as all material desires disappear from the mind. The disappearance of personal desires happens naturally as we fall in love with reality more and more and begin to realize that I am that reality. This realization is so fulfilling and satisfying to the soul that it gradually becomes impossible to want anything, not because nothing is seen as interesting any longer, but because every moment is so interesting, so enriching and fulfilling, that we can no longer conceive of wanting something outside of this present moment. And so the highest realization available at the Illumination level is, I am perfect, I want nothing. Our own being is seen as so perfect and beautiful that nothing outside of us can add or improve upon our current state of being. From this SQ level, we slide into the range of mastery, correlating to the third eye chakra, and ranging from 151 to 175. This is the SQ level of the great gurus and sages. Not only do we not feel like a person who is creating reality any longer, but we realize that there's no such thing as a person who chooses its own actions at all. There is only reality itself, and reality alone acts through every form. And so the highest realization of mastery at 175 is, there is no doer of actions. The comprehension of reality is so great that every action the body does is seen as reality's action. All actions are God's. Or as Christ said, of myself I can do nothing. I can only do what I see the Father doing. And I do not speak of my own accord, but it is the Father that dwells within me, doing His own work. It is felt and experienced that a great and universal power is moving us, and we are its eternal audience member. And from this level, we arrive finally at the Singularity level of SQ, correlating to the crown chakra and ranging from 176 to 200 and beyond. This is the level of pure God consciousness, the level of the great avatars like Christ, Krishna, Buddha, Mahavatar Babaji, Ramana Maharshi, Nisargadatta Maharaj, and Neem Karoli Baba. At this level of SQ, there is only one realization remaining. Only God is, and nothing else exists at all. The realization at 200 and beyond can only be described as the experience of no self. There's no more person who is not doing actions or even witnessing the divine power. No duality remains in one's experience of reality. One has become the all-pervading self. It was from this SQ level that Jesus spoke the famous words, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to reality but by me. So the question is, what is your perception of reality like right now? Where do you sit on this spectrum we just went through? For example, you may notice that a lot of the times you're living from I create my reality, and that's your default mode. But when difficult things happen, you can tend to slide back into that victim mentality and start blaming life and other people for your problems. So this would be evidence that you're somewhere between 76 and 99. Because remember, at 100, true color yellow, we no longer perceive ourselves as a victim at all. We never blame life for our problems anymore. No matter how difficult our life may become, our automatic response is always, well, I create my reality, so how did I create this negative experience? And how can I create a more positive experience? That is what a 100 SQ feels like in our quality of consciousness. Now, if when challenging things happen to you and your natural response is, I know that life is always in control and that life is always leading me to the exact experiences I need for my highest good. So please, life, show me what you're trying to teach me through this circumstance. That is an awakening level of SQ. And when that is your default response to every challenge in your life, then you know for certain you've reached that 125 level, or true color green. So this is the way we can start to determine our relative range of SQ. And once we are living permanently from any one of these 7 realizations on the SQ chart, then we know for sure that we've reached the highest point or true color of that SQ level. So hopefully this helps you to understand why there's really no such thing as the one best single spiritual teaching that applies to everyone universally. Because everyone's at a different level of spiritual comprehension. So the best spiritual teaching of all is the one that the student most resonates with and helps them to raise their SQ with. For example, non-duality students tend to poo-poo on law of attraction teachings. Oh, so dualistic. Who's the you that's creating your reality? And while that's true, if you try to teach someone who's at a 70 SQ level that there's no person and there's no separate self and they're not creating reality because they don't exist, that's just going to sound confusing and bewildering to them. It's not going to help them to spiritually mature at all. Much better for someone at that level to hear things like, hey, you create your reality. Your thoughts attract experiences to you that match the frequency of those thoughts. So be careful what you're thinking about. That's a teaching that's going to sound interesting to someone at that level and cause them to start raising their SQ. So we have to be wise in the way we help instruct others in their spiritual understanding, knowing and perceiving what level of SQ this person is at, and then delivering the appropriate teaching that will be most beneficial to them. Now, to make all of this more clear, I'm going to give you a silly and ridiculous analogy to help paint this picture a little bit better for you. So let's suppose that one day I forget that I'm Aaron Abke and fall into this deep delusion that I am Batman. And so you see me running around the streets one day, throwing batarangs at people and fighting imaginary crime in my Batman costume. And out of sympathy for me, you want to help to talk me out of my delusion. Well, you probably wouldn't just run up to me and say something like, come on, Aaron, snap out of it, man. You look like an idiot out here. You're not Batman. Batman doesn't exist. Come on, wake up. Because I'm probably going to think that you're the Riddler trying to confuse me. And so I'm going to wrap you up in my bat string and take you to the Batcave or whatever. So instead, you're probably going to try to meet me at my level of delusion, right? You'd probably say something more like, hey, Batman, I see you fighting crime out here. Thanks for keeping our streets of Gotham safe. To which I would reply with something like, yes, I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman. Wow. That's awesome. I just had one question for you, Batman. See, I've been looking for my friend Aaron Abke around here. Have you seen him anywhere?
No, I don't know who that is. I'm Batman.
Yes, you're Batman. I was just wondering if Batman has seen my good friend Aaron Abke around here anywhere. He's a really good person and a really good friend of mine that I've been looking for. Does that name ring any bells for you? Aaron Abke?
Well, the name does sound familiar, but I'm not sure. I'm Batman.
Wait a minute. I know. You're Aaron Abke. That's just your alter ego that you use during the day so that nobody knows that you're really Batman. You fooled me, Aaron. Good job.
Yes, that's right. I am Aaron Abke. But I am also Batman.
Yes, you're Batman right now. We agree. But you're really Aaron Abke, aren't you? Because that's who you were before you became Batman. So you've always been Aaron Abke, and now you're just playing the Batman role, right?
I guess that's true. So, I am Aaron Abke? Just pretending to be Batman?
That's right. You are Aaron Abke.
I am Aaron Abke. So I don't need to wear this stuff anymore. Or talk like this.
This is basically the approach that spiritual masters use when teaching their disciples who are deluded with the false belief that they're just a body, just a person living a short lifetime on a journey to get enlightened. The guru will speak to them from their level of realization, but use pointers that call them higher and raise their spiritual intelligence. So, using this silly Batman analogy, what would be the highest possible realization, or perhaps the final realization, that Batman could possibly have? As Aaron Abke goes to counseling and therapy to overcome this belief that he's Batman, he gradually begins to realize that his belief in being Batman was just a mental delusion. And so he becomes a little more embarrassed about it, and he keeps it to himself now, and he doesn't want people to know that he struggles with believing he's Batman anymore. And whenever he suffers from the stressful thoughts about what the Riddler is up to in Gotham City while Batman's gone, he has to keep snapping himself out of it and reminding himself, no, there's no Riddler, there's no Gotham City because there's no Batman. And he may have to spend all day long mentally repeating, I am Aaron Abke, I am Aaron Abke, over and over. Now, at a later stage in his therapy, Aaron Abke doesn't suffer from the thoughts of Batman anymore. If a thought about what the Riddler is up to in Gotham City tries to creep into his mind, all he has to do is remember, I am Aaron Abke. And instantly, all of Batman's problems vanish. So this would represent the illumination level of SQ, where the knowledge of our being wipes away our ability to suffer on behalf of the separate self. But this is still not the final realization of truth yet, right? Because as Ramana Maharshi said, you don't go around reminding yourself all day long that you're a man or a woman because you just know that you are. So why do yogis go around mentally repeating, I am Brahman, I am the self, I am Brahman, I am the self? It's because they haven't realized it yet. So if Aaron has to keep repeating to himself, I am Aaron Abke, then he hasn't realized that he's not Batman yet. And then at an even later stage in Aaron's therapy, he begins to realize that all of the conditioned reactions and mental tendencies of Batman that were going on in his mind were always mental delusions. That Batman never acted through this body and cannot act through this body. Even when it seemed like Batman was acting, it was always Aaron Abke doing the actions. This represents the level of mastery on the SQ chart. But even this is still not the final realization of all. Because the final realization that Aaron Abke can have is the experience of no Batman. In order for Aaron Abke to fully come back into sanity again and full self-awareness, Aaron has to have no inner experience of Batman at all. And this is the singularity level of SQ. This is the highest level of spiritual intelligence, the experience of no self. Our comprehension of reality has become so great that we no longer experience anything but reality. We no longer experience any kind of personal self that's different or distinct from the one reality. And so whether we know it or not, we all believe that we are Batman to some degree. We all suffer on Batman's behalf when we could just as easily be free here and now. This is the great delusion of separation. And we are all somewhere on this spectrum between total separation at the bottom and absolute oneness at the top. Because reality is always silently enforcing itself upon our minds, our comprehension of reality is always expanding. And that is the purpose of incarnating into a human lifetime. And as our spiritual intelligence rises, we are more and more absorbed into the majesty, the infinity, and the omnipotence of God's being. And so to claim that there's a self that is knowing or loving God is really to claim for a self what belongs to God in the first place. Because only God is love and only God is intelligence. So in order for this to be fully realized, this belief, this delusion of a separate personal self has to gradually step aside. And as it does, we begin to realize that we don't actually need a self to know God, because that within us which knows God is God. So your SQ is not a measurement of how spiritual or divine you are, but only how much of that divinity you've realized. So no matter how much someone has or hasn't realized the truth of who they are, it remains the same. We are all the one self already, here and now. Hey everyone, thank you for watching today's video. I hope that you were truly blessed by it. And I wanted to let you know that I'm really excited to now be partnering with an amazing conscious supplement company called ORGANIFI. A lot of you know that I'm also passionate about holistic health and nutrition, and ORGANIFI has been a staple in my daily health routine for a very long time. They make the most delicious, organic, and high-quality superfood products that I've ever come across. And as you know, a healthy body is a great benefit for spiritual growth, because the health of your body directly translates to the health of your mind. Everything is connected. So feeding your body with high vibrational superfoods straight from the earth is one of the best ways to create that environment for a healthy mind. But getting all the superfoods that your body needs in one day can admittedly be a little bit tough. And that is where ORGANIFI can add a ton of value to your life. I personally start every day off with green, which is ORGANIFI's really delicious blend of 11 superfoods like ashwagandha, chlorella, and moringa. And then in the middle of the day, I'll usually have a scoop of red, which is a delicious energy blend full of 13 adaptogens and antioxidants from berries to recharge your mind and body with a delicious blend of organic superfoods. Your body is an amazing organic machine, but it needs the right fuel and signals to function at its best. And red is full of adaptogens sourced from organic herbs and medicinal mushrooms. And these are compounds that balance hormones, prime your energy pathways, and alleviate stress. So instead of crushing your adrenal system with huge doses of caffeine every day, adaptogens work with your body and give you natural, sustained energy all throughout the day. What's most important to me though about ORGANIFI is the way that they go above and beyond to ensure the cleanest and purest ingredients in all of their products. They are USDA certified organic, non-GMO, gluten-free, certified glyphosate-free, and absolutely zero fillers. So I never go anywhere without ORGANIFI, and I never miss a day without taking it. And ORGANIFI is offering a super generous discount of 20% off of your entire order when you use the coupon code ABKE at checkout. So if you want to upgrade your health regimen with ORGANIFI, you can click on the link in the description box below to learn more about all the amazing products that they offer. And I promise you that your mind and your body are going to thank you for it.